Hey everyone, welcome back to this week's Supplier Showcase. This week I am joined by Bailey, co-founder of Cedar Bound. Now, you guys are a company based right here in the Midwest in Minnesota. And I got the pleasure of meeting you last year live in person at the Glamping show, which I know we're both looking forward to, and that's coming up this fall. Bailey, just talk to us a little bit about, what your business does and how you guys got started.
Sure. Well, thank you for having me on, first of all. Um, our company is Cedar Bound, and like you said, we're based in the Midwest. We are in Duluth, Minnesota, which is right on the tip of Lake Superior. And it's a company founded and run solely by my husband and I. And my husband and I met at a summer camp 15 years ago this summer. It's been a while. And we were both working there, and we just fell in love, obviously, with one another and with the outdoors and adventure and travel. We've traveled all over the world together. And through that, we experienced a lot of really unique accommodation and really cool stays across the globe. And that was really what planted the seed for Cedar Bound, where we design and build unique glamping structures. And we created what we like to call the two-story tent, which is a hybrid design that pairs a modern two-story cabin with a luxury tent, which, straight out of the gate sounds a little wackadoo, but we created this unique structure because we just wanted to do something that hadn't already been done before. We wanted to be inspired by what's already out there, but kind of twist it and make it our own.
And as you mentioned, it really is a unique combination. And seeing it in person, I mean, the thing is absolutely gorgeous and beautiful. What really prompted you guys to take more of a traditional park model like cabin, which is what probably a lot of traditional park owners have, in the canvas type tent, which is maybe what a lot of glamping park owners have, and combine it and say this is a really modern accommodation that speaks to the campers of today. And is that really where you were going with that? Was just pulling from your own experience into the product?
I mean, I'd love to say that we were that strategic and that we, looked at the industry and saw that there was a need, but we really weren't familiar with the industry too much when we started out. Initially, we had set out to start our own glamp ground in northern Minnesota. And, we secured land for it. We went through a number of the steps, but ultimately it just didn't pan out for that site. But at that location, we had intended to have these unique structures with the hope that, 5 or 10 years down the line, we might be able to design and manufacture them and sell them as kits. So what ended up being, at the time, it felt like a bit of a rejection that, oh, we can't move forward with this particular site. In the end, it ended up being the biggest blessing in disguise because we were able to jump into designing and manufacturing, which is really where our strengths and skill sets lie. And so through that, we were introduced to this incredible industry and really saw that, oh my goodness, like we were inspired by what we had seen out there while traveling, but we hadn't really dove into the industry itself. So it was fun to see where our little brainchild kind of met an industry need.
And so, speaking of the manufacturing process, in addition to the overall design of the unit, the materials and sort of the construction that you're using to design everything is really unique. I'm going to put on the screen here. We're going to look at a page from your website that really is a really cool sort of overview and breakdown of a unit. And as you say, if you're curious on how it works, like this is what goes into making one of those. Can you talk a little bit about some of the different things, the materials, why it's so durable, long lasting, and then just the way you're able to make it all come together and form this really cool unit that you guys have?
Yeah, absolutely. So we took notes from classic timber framing. We wanted to create a structure that was really durable, like you said. And so that timber frame is really the key there. And what we have is kind of a dual structure system where what you see on the inside there, that is the tent frame. And so that structure has front and rear gable ends that are solid walls. So with timber frame construction, the
Mm-hmm.
actual tent itself is, timber frame as well, but the roof and sides of that cabin are canvas. And we also have a layered insulation panel that goes in there as well to make it a year-round structure. So that is quote unquote the tent component with those solid front and rear end walls. And because we have that solid framing and the front and rear end walls that are solid, it allows us to go vertical. So we have a loft level as well. So you get a lot of height. I'm trying to think of like the tallest height of our tallest unit. I believe it's 20 some feet high. And so
Wow.
yeah, we've got a lot of height going on. So then
Yeah,
apart
if you
from
just think of a traditional room, maybe 9 feet tall, we're almost talking three times that in terms
yeah,
of the height of this structure. That's incredible.
yeah, don't quote me because I think our tallest one might be around the 18 mark. I've got to double check here. But so then apart from the the tented cabin itself, then we have the external canopy frame, and that canopy serves as the roof of the structure. And it doesn't have canvas on it, but it has a super thick and durable vinyl. And you'll see a lot of different luxury tents that have a vinyl, fly on them. So we're taking notes from that fly sheet, but we're just beefing it up a little bit. And so that vinyl canopy wraps around the external canopy frame, and that takes the brunt of, precip, UV, snow load. And because of the pitch of the roof, those snowy climates are actually very compatible with our structures because the snow typically slides right off.
I was going to ask about that, especially with canvas material and things like that. One of the questions that we got even last year at the glamping show when looking at a number of different units, and we asked a bunch of providers, was just the durability and the ability for that canvas material to take on all of that you talked about. So is it because of sort of the thickness and the construction process and designing that from the outset that's what's giving you sort of a different shelf life, if you want to call it, with your canvas versus maybe a more traditional unit?
Yeah, so we use the most premium materials that we can, which obviously you will see reflected in the investment of our structures. But we do
Right.
that because we create a structure that is year round, and we want to be able to serve clients who have a year round operation. So, there's a few things that go into making it durable. There's that timber frame that is super solid. Kind of over engineered it in many ways, so that it's not gonna weeble wobble. It is not gonna fall down. And then the durability and thickness of that vinyl. It's kind of a marine grade vinyl that's really thick, and there are multiple panels that are welded together, and it has around the same life expectancy as standard asphalt shingles that you'd find on a roof. So around 10 to 15 years tops there. So yep.
Which is still a great shelf life. Can you talk a little bit about, what's the process if somebody raises their hand and says, Bailey, I'm ready to go, like between that first conversation to actually getting their unit, put together and live at the park where customers can start to use it. Can you just walk through that process for somebody who might potentially be interested in purchasing?
Yeah. So we have our hybrid structures, which is what we've been talking about, and that visual that you had on the screen, a moment ago. That is the, our signature structure that we have. We've also recently released a seasonal structure called the tent, which is a fully soft-sided structure that is single story, but still has our, unique design aesthetic. So we have a couple of different options at this point. So really, it kind of depends. We do a little bit of gauging in terms of, okay, what are your needs? What does your current operation look like? We have some folks who are coming in who have just secured land, and they have a lot of pre-work that they need to do. And so there's a lot of education that needs to happen, and often a lot of work that our clients need to go back and do before they're ready to really get the ball rolling with us at Cedar Bound. So, we're always here to share resources and, help people be pointed toward, a real estate development consultant, or, the Glamping Association, or even, hey, head to the Glamping show this October. It's a great place to learn and connect with people who have been through it before you have. Because as you know, Alex, this process can often take years from conception to opening day. And I think a lot of folks feel like, oh, it's just, quick. We can put up some tents and have it open next month. And even if you're doing the most simplified version of a glamping operation or camping operation, there's more foundation that needs to be laid before you can open your doors up.
And I think, especially on the glamping side of things, what we've seen is that the variety in terms of what the owner is looking to do with the property itself can be vastly different versus maybe a traditional campground. People have different visions and often different outcomes. So can you talk a little bit, like, what are some recent projects or applications in which your unit has come into, and maybe just give people a sense of, like, okay, it can fit in the traditional campground space, it can fit in this type of property, and just the amount of, like I said, use that you can get from your unit, because of the modern and just really classic design.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we always encourage our clients to personalize their structures. We really specialize in the shell of the structure. So there's a lot of flexibility when it comes to how you finish out the exterior facade. You don't have to go with those standard cedar shakes that are very quintessentially Northwoods. You can do something that's a little bit more, tied in with your local environment, whether it's shiplap or corrugated metal or, another unique option. And then obviously there's a lot of flexibility with the interior layout as well. The clients that we work with are not as concerned about heads and beds. They would rather create a really beautiful high-end curated experience. Even if you are at a campground, more and more folks are wanting to have those creature comforts while still having the campground experience. So, we're just seeing a big shift toward that over the last few years, and I think it's continuing. So, I mean, we have a number of different projects that are happening, whether it's multi-unit or just someone who wants to add a couple of our units into, a mostly, simple wall tent situation. So we are all about having diversity of glamping structures and not just having this like homogenous cookie cutter, like everything is going to look exactly the same. Because again, I think guests are craving the unique and the novel, and they want to come back to your property again and again and not have the same cookie cutter experience.
And so if people do want to obviously like learn more about the product, check out the newest edition that you have with the tent, or check out the more sort of, I guess I'll call it traditional unit, even though it's anything but traditional, but I guess your classic legacy unit. Talk to us a little bit about, like, how can people contact you? And then I'm sure you guys are going to be at the glamping show this year as well. So let people know what those dates are. I'm blanking on them on the top of my head, but I'm sure people can find you guys there, check out the units, connect with, as you said, other operators and other people who said, hey, like, what are you guys going to use your unit for? How are you going to do things?
Yeah, absolutely. So the best thing to do is to head to our website, cedarbound.com, and download our catalog. Our catalog is more than just, here's the price. It really breaks down how our system works together and helps give you some resources to kind of ensure that, hey, this could be a good fit for your site. And so that's a great place to go and learn more about our specific structures, and also just dip your feet in and get inspired. So that would be my number one recommendation. We usually will set up a discovery call after that point to, chat and kind of see where you're at and help, see if we can provide a solution for what you're looking for. And then the glamping show, we love it so much. We've been there, I think, the last
It's
4
amazing.
years. It's so fun. And it's growing every year. Already it looks like the outdoor exhibitor area is just packed with a ton of new
I know
manufacturers.
we're both going to be there this year, and it's like I'm extremely excited to go
Yeah.
back this year. It's going to be incredible.
Yeah, it's so worth it. I'm seeing that it is October 3rd and 4th
There
of
you go.
this year. So definitely worth the trip out there. Highly recommended.
And that show is going to be out in Denver, Colorado, for anybody who's watching this and trying to, pre-plan and think about, all right, what vendors do you want to talk to? Definitely check out Cedar Bound and make sure that they are on your list when you go and hit up the units. Bailey, thanks again for being here.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Alex. Appreciate it.
Thanks again for listening to this week's edition of our Supplier Showcase. If you want to check out the full show, make sure that you get the video version of it on Facebook and YouTube, and it's also available as a podcast download wherever you get your podcast. All right, guys, we will see you back here soon for another great episode. Thank you.